So if you're trying to break into tech in 2026, you're probably asking yourself a question that a lot of people are scared to say out loud. Is AI going to replace me before I even get started, right? And honestly, I understand why you feel like this, because right now, the internet is really confusing because you've got one person that will tell you that AI is going to kill software engineering. Then you've got another person that will tell you that entry-level tech jobs are completely dead. Then you've got someone else saying that you need to become an AI engineer. Then someone else is saying, don't even bother doing AI engineering because it's only for people with PhDs. Then you see the layoffs. Right? You see people with certifications, they're still not getting interviews. You see people building projects and still not getting any jobs. And now you're sitting there thinking, okay, what am I actually supposed to learn? Is it cloud? Is it cybersecurity? Is it AI? Is it software engineering? And the more that you research, the more confused you get. And so in this video, I want to make it very, 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 very simple. AI is changing tech careers, but not in the way that most people think. The real question isn't, will AI replace tech jobs? A better question to ask is, what type of technical person becomes more valuable because of AI? And what type of person becomes easier to replace? Because those are two very, very different people. And if you understand that, you'll know exactly what to focus on. So here is a mistake that a lot of beginners are making. They think the answer to AI changing tech is to actually go and chase the word AI. So what do? They start looking for AI engineer roles, AI architect roles, machine learning engineer roles, right? Prompt engineer roles, AI cloud engineer roles. And they think if AI is the future, I should start directly with AI. But that's not how it works. AI roles are usually almost always not the first step into tech. They are normally the next step after you already have an existing foundation. That foundation may be software engineering, data engineering, cloud infrastructure, security. Now, the point is that most AI roles are not asking for someone who just watched a few ChatGPT tutorials, right? They're actually asking for someone who already understands how systems work fundamentally. And the data really, really backs this up. 365 Data Science analyzed AI engineer job postings and found that only 2.5% of those positions targeted people with 0 to 2 years of experience. They also said that AI careers are usually a step up from software, data, and infrastructure roles and backgrounds, not the starting point. And then PIN's 2026 user survey found that 71% of AI and machine learning roles they saw were filled by people whose current title was not even AI or ML. Many were back-end engineers, infrastructure engineers, or research data scientists. So really think about what that actually means. The people moving into AI are often not the people who started with AI. They are people who understood the layers underneath AI. Back-end, infrastructure, cloud, data, systems, deployment, monitoring. And that is a very, very important part to get your head around. Now, the way that I want you to think about AI careers is a little bit like layers. The top layer is the AI model. That's the thing that everyone's talking about and using: GPT, Claude, Gemini, agents, all that kind of stuff. That's the exciting layer. But underneath that, that's where the whole system is. So where does the application run? Where is the data stored? How do the users authenticate? How do permissions work? How does the model access tools? How do you monitor the outputs? How do you know if the model is actually getting worse? How do you control costs? How do you handle latency? How do you secure sensitive data? How do you deploy changes safely? This is all the real engineering work. The model is only one component. The system around it is what makes the model into an actual product. And this is where people get this completely wrong, because they think that AI careers are all about just learning the latest AI tools. And I understand it, because there's so many of these people on YouTube telling you to learn this tool, that tool, this way to make money, that way to make money. But companies do not pay people just because they know the tools. Companies pay people who can take the tools and turn them into working systems that run live in production and serve real people. That is the difference. So you might be asking, who does AI actually replace first? And there's a lot of opinions about this, but for me, it replaces the shallow technical person first. The person who knows how to follow the steps, the person who can click the buttons but can't explain why, the person who can copy a tutorial but can't troubleshoot it when it breaks, the person who can say that I use cloud or I use AWS but can't explain why they chose one architecture over another, the person who has certifications but no real proof, the person who can memorize the answers but can't reason for a real problem, the person who uses AI to generate code that they don't understand. That specific person is in a lot of trouble. And this isn't because they're stupid or they're incapable, but it's because their value was already very fragile, right? Because if your entire skill set is tell me what to click, then AI is a threat because AI can tell you what to click. But if your skill set is tell me what command to run, then AI is also a threat because AI can already give you the commands and do that, right? If your skill set is tell me what code to write, again, AI is a threat because AI can generate your code. But, and there's a big but, if your skill set is, I understand systems, I understand trade-offs, I understand security risk, I understand how to deploy, I understand how to monitor, I understand how to explain the business value. Now, AI becomes a tool in your toolbox. And that's a big difference between those two areas, right? Those two kind of people. AI replaces shallow execution, but it multiplies real understanding. So this is the mental model that I want you to remember. AI is a force multiplier. It multiplies what you already are, meaning if you have strong fundamentals, AI just makes you faster. You can debug faster. You can write scripts faster. You can understand documentation faster. You can generate Terraform faster. You can learn concepts faster. You can build projects faster. But fundamentally, if your fundamentals are weak, AI helps you make bigger mistakes faster. Bad policies, broken infrastructure, insecure Terraform, overcomplicated architecture, hard-coded secrets, public databases, right? Costly resources that you don't understand. And the worst part is that you might not even know what's wrong because AI made it look professional, and that's the danger. AI gives beginners confidence before they even have any sort of competence, and that is risky because a hiring manager can tell when you don't understand what you built. An interview will fundamentally expose that. A real production environment will definitely expose that. So the answer is not don't use AI. You should use it. Absolutely. But don't use AI as a replacement for understanding. You want to use it as a multiplier for understanding. So first you build a foundation, then you use AI to move faster. That is the order that you need to do it in. Now, here is where it gets pretty interesting, right? Because the people best positioned for AI careers, like we said, are not often the people shouting the loudest about AI. They are the people who understand the infrastructure underneath. Backend engineers, infrastructure engineers, cloud engineers, platform engineers, data engineers. This is because AI always needs somewhere to run. It needs APIs, it needs compute, it needs storage, networking, databases, pipelines, monitoring, security, deployment, reliability. This is all fundamental infrastructure. And this is why cloud skills are becoming more valuable because of AI and not less. Because where are these AI platforms being built on? They're being built on the hyperscalers, the AWSs, the Googles, the Azures. Every AI product that you use today is sitting on infrastructure. In fact, AWS, Amazon Cloud, is a cloud infrastructure platform, and they are the biggest provider of cloud services to Anthropic, the owners of Claude. Every AI agent needs somewhere to run. Every RAG system needs data storage, retrieval, permissions, APIs, and monitoring. Every company trying to use AI needs to connect it to their existing systems. And those systems are almost always very messy. They have old databases, they have weird permissions, they have security requirements, compliance, internal APIs, there's legacy systems, there are different teams, there are different cloud accounts, there's different environments. That is not solved by prompting onto ChatGPT. That is solved by having real engineering skills and architecture understanding. And more specifically, is solved by people who understand systems. So if you're starting out in tech, I would not think about AI as I need to become an AI engineer immediately, right? That's very vague and is very unrealistic for a lot of people. I would think about it like this. First, you want to become technically useful. Then you want to become AI aware. That's the path. Right? Technically useful means that you can actually solve real problems. You understand cloud fundamentals, networking, Linux, IAM, compute, databases, monitoring, right? Infrastructure as code, CI/CD. You understand how applications get deployed. You understand how systems break. You understand how to secure access. You understand how to monitor what's happening in environments. And then once you have that foundation, you add AI on top. LLM APIs, RAG, agents, tool calling, prompting, latency, cost, all this other stuff, right? When you do it that way, you're not someone that's just learning AI. Right? You're someone who understands the system that AI depends on. And that's a very different market proposition and a candidate profile to companies. And that's really a person that companies are going to care about over the next 6 to 12, 18 months. So a lot of people are still going to be wasting the next year chasing these titles, right? AI engineer, AI architect, prompt engineer, forward deployed engineer, right? And I'm not saying these roles are bad, they're not. Some of them are amazing, but If you chase just titles without building the foundation, you're just going to keep staying confused, right? Because titles are not a path. The actual path is having this skill stack. Look underneath the title, right? What does a job actually require? Can you design systems? Can you write code? Can you deploy applications? Can you secure infrastructure? Can you connect tools? Can you explain the value to the businesses? This is what really matters, not whether your LinkedIn headline has AI in it. That doesn't move the needle. The market is not going to reward you for looking modern, right? The market rewards you for proof, and proof means that you can actually do the work. Now, here is a trap that a lot of people are falling into. They basically bounce between everything. One week they want to do cybersecurity. The next week they want to do AI. The next week is AWS. The next week is Python. The next is Kubernetes. The next is cloud security. Then it's some AI agent framework. And it feels like it's great research that you do, you're being productive. But after 6 months, these people always look back and they realize that nothing worked, right? Nothing even connected. They made no progress. They know a little bit of AWS, a little bit of Linux, a little bit of Terraform, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, right? But it can't turn that into one coherent skill. They can't explain to employers and say, here's what I can actually do for you right now. And that's the problem, because there's an overwhelming amount of information out there, and you don't need more random knowledge. You need the pieces to connect, because cloud engineering, AI infrastructure, platform engineering, all of these are not just piles of tools. They are systems. The goal isn't to know 20 different tools. The goal needs to be that we can use the right tools and the right technologies to solve real problems for businesses. And that's the shift that you have to make. So what should you actually learn if you want to stay valuable in the AI era? Let's make it very, very simple. Firstly, you need to know cloud fundamentals, because you must understand where modern systems run. AWS, networking, compute, storage, databases. If you don't understand cloud, AI infrastructure isn't going to make any sense to you. Secondly, Linux and the command line. The cloud runs on Linux systems, servers, containers, automation, logs, troubleshooting. Now, I'm not saying you should become a Linux wizard, right? You need to be comfortable inside a server. Third is infrastructure as code, Terraform, CloudFormation. Here, the tools matter a lot less than the actual concept, because real infrastructure should be repeatable, version controlled, reviewed, and maintainable. Nobody serious is clicking around the console manually in production environments. Fourth, deployment and CI/CD. So software is only valuable when it's running in front of users. So therefore, you need to understand how code moves from a developer's laptop into production using GitHub Actions, pipelines, environments, rollbacks, right? Fifth, monitoring, security, and cost. And this is where real production thinking actually starts. Can you see what's happening? Can you detect failures? Can you control access? Can you protect data? Can you avoid wasting money? Can you explain what broke? Sixth, AI workload basics. So once we've built the foundation, then we want to learn about LLM APIs, RAGs, vector databases, agents, tool calling, right? Latency, cost, all that AI stuff. Now, the reality is, if you learn 1 to 4, you can probably get a role in cloud engineering or platform engineering or DevOps engineering, right? You can definitely go towards those routes. But fundamentally, you need all of this foundation first before you even think about AI. And this is how you become useful in the AI era. It's not by skipping the foundation. It's by adding AI to the foundation that you already have. This is why cloud is such a strong career path right now, because cloud engineering teaches you the layer underneath everything. Web applications run on the cloud. SaaS products run on the cloud. Data platforms run on the cloud. Security systems run on cloud. AI systems run on cloud. AI agents run on cloud. Internal business tools run on the cloud. So when you learn cloud engineering properly, you're not just learning about how to run and click buttons on AWS. You're learning how modern systems are built, deployed, secured, monitored, and scaled. That's why cloud opens doors, right? Cloud engineering leads to DevOps. It leads to cloud security. It leads to platform engineering. It leads to architecture, right? It leads to forward deployed engineering. It leads to AI engineering, AI infrastructure. Because the truth is, these job titles will always change, but the foundation will always carry on. And that's what you want, right? You don't want to build a career that's based on a trend. You want to build your career on the layer that the trends will depend on. AI is a trend. Infrastructure is the layer underneath all of it. Now, this is what I think is going to happen. AI is going to split the tech market into 2 groups. Group 1 is people who use AI to avoid learning. Group 2 is people who use AI to accelerate their learning. Group 1 will ask AI to do everything: write the code, explain the services, generate the Terraform, build the project, write the CV, answer the questions, but they don't understand any of it. So the moment someone asks them, why did you choose this architecture? They will just freeze, right? The moment that something breaks, they'll be lost. The moment they need to explain the business value, they simply can't do it. Group 2 is very different. They learn the fundamentals, they build the projects, they understand the why, and then they use AI to speed up their process. They ask better questions, they debug faster, they read documentation quicker, they test ideas, they build more. That is the person who becomes insanely dangerous in a good way, because AI didn't replace their thinking, it just amplified it. That's the group that you want to be in. Now, let's talk about people specifically trying to break in, because I know some of you thinking, well, well, if AI roles are not entry level, am I screwed? You're not screwed. You just need to stop trying to skip the steps because you don't need to become a senior AI engineer tomorrow. You need to build a foundation that will take you there. That might be starting with cloud support, junior cloud engineer, infrastructure engineer, cloud security, IT support with cloud exposure, cloud security later on for specialization. Remember, the first role is never the final destination. It's always the first step. It's the doorway. And a lot of people lose this understanding because their ego wants a final title before their proof is actually ready. They want AI engineer, but they don't have any production experience. They want AI architect titles, but they can't explain basic cloud architecture. They want forward deployed engineer, but they've never built and deployed a real system. Again, this is not an insult, right? This is clarity in thinking because the market can only believe what you can prove. So build the proof. So start with the layer that you can realistically build today, then you move up. Now, here is what I would do over the next 90 days. First, 30 days, fundamentals, cloud basics, networking, Linux, IAM, compute, storage, databases. Don't try learn all AWS services at once. Learn the core pieces that show up again and again in real environments. Day 31 to 60, build the infrastructure, so build a real project. Don't follow tutorials. Think about something that looks like a real business system, a secure web app, a serverless document processor, a monitoring setup, right? An internal knowledge base. Now, don't just build it. You need to document it. Think about all the questions you can ask. What problem does it solve? Why does architecture? What trade-offs did I make? What broke? How did I fix it? Then we've got days 61 to 90s where you add AI carefully. So take one project and then add AI on top of it. Maybe a RAG knowledge base, maybe an LM-powered support assistant, maybe document processing. Build it, deploy it, secure it, control it, explain the architecture, show where the model fits, show where the cloud infrastructure fits. And that's really how we make AI relevant to your actual career. Not by saying that, hey, I use ChatGPT, but it's actually proven that you can deploy AI into a real system. And that's very, very different. So don't spend another 6 months collecting random tools. Don't keep switching roadmaps every week. Don't think that one certification will protect you from AI. Don't build projects that you can't explain. Don't use AI to produce the work that you don't understand. Right? Don't wait until you feel 100% ready. And do not confuse research with progress, because progress is not how many videos did I watch. Progress is what problems can I solve today that I couldn't solve 30 days ago. Can you deploy something now that you couldn't deploy last month? Can you explain what an IAM role is now when it used to confuse you? Can you write Terraform configuration now instead of clicking through the console? Can you troubleshoot why an application can't connect to a database, right? That is progress. Everything else is just passive consumption. So the mindset shift that you have to make is you need to stop asking what jobs will AI not replace, because that question fundamentally comes from fear. You want to ask what skills make me more valuable because of AI. And that question will then give you some power, because AI is not really removing the need for technical people. It's actually raising the bar. The weak version of tech is just simply getting exposed. The person who follows the steps, that memorizes, copies this, clicks the button, can't explain why, that person is going to struggle. But a person who understands the systems, the infrastructure, the security, the business value, that person becomes more and more valuable, because AI gives companies more things to deploy, more things to secure, more things to monitor, integrate, more things to control and fix. And someone has to understand the systems underneath. So how is AI changing tech careers in 2026? It's making shallow skills less valuable and making deep system skills more valuable. It makes titles more confusing, but foundation more important. It's making easier to build demos, but harder to run production systems safely. It's making average people panic and more serious people focus. So don't panic. You need to be focused, because if you're trying to break into tech, don't chase the hype. Build the base, cloud, networking, Linux, infrastructure code, deployments, troubleshooting, and then you want to add AI on top of that. That is the path. And if you do this properly, AI is not going to be the thing that replaces you. It becomes the very thing that makes you faster, sharper, and more valuable. So if you're watching this and you've been bouncing between cloud, cyber, AI, videos, Udemy courses, and you still don't feel clear, that's not because you're lazy. It's actually because you don't have a clear skill stack. You don't need more random content. You need structure. You need projects. You need feedback. You need to know what to ignore. You need to build proof that the market can actually understand. And that's what we help inside of my Cloud Engineering Academy. We help you with foundations, projects, CVs, LinkedIn, interviewability, and the feedback loop that will actually get you hired. Because learning AWS is not the goal. Becoming hireable is the goal. And in the AI era, becoming hireable means understanding the systems that AI depends on. So if you want my help doing that, join the free school community below or book a call with my team for the Cloud Engineering Academy. All the links in the description below. As always, I'm rooting for you.